Greetings, Beth Warriors. Greetings. Greg is back for another live stream episode of Results Kill Excuses, where we talk about life. We talk about this beautiful experience called life. And ultimately, what we've been talking about most recently is how to win at this game called life. How to heal. How to truly become the best version of yourself. What's up, my brother? It's an interesting thing, the emotional healing piece, the spiritual awakening piece, the whole point of it all, right? Is it really just about doing whatever we feel like? Just kicking back, chilling? Or do we all deep down inside of us ask us this question, like, what is it all about? What's the whole purpose of this thing? Is it really just one and done? Is it you either get it right or you get it wrong? You either get smoked, you get put in a big fire of smoke for eternity, or is that just a fear tactic? Is that just a story that's been told in order to get people to fall into submission? Not doing good in the head, bro. It's a battle, ain't it? The battle over your mind. Have you done the thing with figuring out your lower and higher self? I was doing a coaching call with someone yesterday, and we came across something I hadn't come across yet, where I've done this with like hundreds of people, and this was the first time that someone that I guided through figuring out the name of their higher self and their lower self, they didn't get any audible. They only had visuals, but even from the visuals, we were able to get the names. It was really cool, because he's like, nah, nothing, man. But I saw something, and I'm like, well, what the hell did you see? So it's really figuring out the mind. It's a battle, man. It's a battle. That's why I highly suggest that you find the courage and the strength and the support to clear your mind of any chemical dependencies first and foremost. Now, that doesn't make everything go away, I promise. That doesn't make everything smooth. That's just the beginning, though, because certainly if you have dependency on different kinds of chemicals, there's distortion there, and you're weakened. Your will to fight is weakened, right? Because that's what's happening right there. I believe, just like Gabor Mate talks about, that the root of all addiction, and addiction is the root of all. I'll finish this statement. The root of all addiction is unhealed trauma. But there's 5 phases to addiction, and it starts with experimentation, then it goes up to regular usage, then it goes to risky usage, then it becomes a state of codependency, and then the 5th and final stage is addiction, where really at codependency, though, you're not really able to do life without it. You need it on whatever regular basis that you're that you're needing it. And I got a big heart for that because I've been, 13 years of recovery from alcohol. And I think this is 3 years from THC now. I hung up my hat on THC in 22, 324. Yeah, this will be 3 years. So it's still kind of fresh from that. But I wouldn't. Do I think using a little THC here and there would harm me? No. But here's the thing, it's not about if it harms me or not. See, I don't filter. I don't negotiate with, oh, it's not that harmful. It's not about if it is harmful. Here's my measure on whether something gets put in my body or not, as I just saw 555s, which that's a number of change. It's time to make some changes if you're hearing this. So what my analysis at a personal level of accountability is when I was starting to reevaluate the hold that THC had taken on my life. What I would do is I would like go a full day sober, and then at the end of the day, I'd either smoke a joint or maybe take some edibles or something like that. And I would always just sit there and evaluate and reflect on, does this make me a better version of myself? Like, am I better with this or without it? And in my heart of hearts, like, I knew that I was better without it, because would it stimulate maybe some of the creative aspects of who I am? Yeah. Yeah, it would help with that. But then I also caught myself at like 10, 11 o'clock at night getting munchies, wanting like sweets and candy, and then waking up feeling like shit. And even though I was like working out hardcore, just like late night snacking and stuff as a part of that relationship, it I was like, I need to kick this. The other thing that was really the other piece that was really motivating, right? And I think it takes some motivation. If you're wanting to release any kind of vice, it doesn't just have to be like drugs or alcohol. I mean, you could be talking about if you had you want to give up snacks, you want to give up sugar, you want to give up coffee, you want to give up fast food, you want to give up gaming, you want to give up, watching countless hours of sports, you want to give up porn, you want to give up, there's a million things, man. Right? There's a million things that we turn to for relief. That's all these things are. Is it's just it's some of it's more detrimental in terms of us using it to for pain relief, right? When you're ingesting something, it's definitely self-medicating. But when you're doing anything to really kind of escape your reality, right? That's a painful thing. I mean, there's a book I'm listening to for probably the 10th time this year. It's called Frequency. And I was listening to an interview with the author earlier, and she was talking about how in her book, she talks about getting into a place that's called your home frequency. And your home frequency is the place that you feel happiest inside your body. It's the thoughts, like what makes you feel really happy. And again, it's sitting there. If you're sitting there right now and you're like miserable as fuck, you're sad, you're depressed, you're anxious, well, there's a few things you do in that place, because we all experienced that earlier today. I think there was a part of me that I was probably feeling maybe a little lonely, and maybe unworthy. And I went for a walk out in nature. That helped. And then I came back inside and I was still feeling like, and it's all triggered in thoughts, right? Like we're having thoughts. So I'm very aware of my thoughts, and I go to war with that shit. I say, you know what? Like, you can choose. You absolutely can choose right now whether you want to be fear-based or love-based. And when you're fear-based, then yeah, you're your own worst enemy. You're a piece of shit. You're never gonna be good enough. You suck. Nothing ever goes your way. And you know, you either suck it up or you give up. Or you can have a whole nother frame of mind, and you can literally be your best friend, your biggest advocate, your number one supporter, and you could say, you know what, fuck that shit. Let's feel happy. Let's really chat. Let's channel the feeling of happiness. And then so you think about what makes you feel happy. And I figured out tonight walking what my home frequency is and what makes me like instantly feel happy. Like I feel instantly happy when I feel like I'm loaded, right? Like just cash abundant, and that I can be super generous. I'm not paying attention to any price tags. I'm not, there's zero consideration. It's just, what things do I need, or is there somebody I could bless, or how can I help people out? And I don't have to be controlled by money. And that's a huge growth because I grew up listening to nothing but fights about money. But I know that like when I get when I earn, receive, or just have windfalls of cash come my way, and I feel that sense of being loaded, I'm like, fuck, this feels great. I feel great. And so to me, there's a few things in my own story. What I realize is that there's some place within not only this timeline but previous timelines where I've had my wealth probably confiscated, taken. And I've had to basically, in this lifetime, I've had to rebuild that whole identity of knowing that there's an infinite universe. For me to win, that doesn't mean you lose. For you to win, right? I celebrate you, but and I can clap with all my heart, with all my mind, cheering for your success, knowing that you don't take away from mine. We're not competing. We're not competing for the last dollar, right? That's not how it works. That's called the scarcity mindset, where there's never enough to go around. And again, this is why the mind is the start of this whole entire experience. And that's why the chemical distortions like absolutely need to be heavily considered. That's something that you're willing to set aside and really give yourself an opportunity to have a very clear, focused mind, that you can really create a fertile ground to really go to war with it's your will versus, that lower self. It's the higher self versus the lower self. The biggest battle that's happening is right there inside your own mind. And we all know this. And so many of us are self-defeating. We sideline ourselves. For some of you, I just realized that about myself. Like, because there's been many times in my life where I've been through some rough financial times in life. Even recently, man, woo! I went through I mean, it was. I knew it was a test. I knew it was a test where I like had to. I had to be in an abundant mindset with like not enough to go around. And I was, in just a generous mindset, like helping people and taking care of stuff and just really getting beyond the physical circumstances is like the key to breaking through. If you understand, if I'm making sense with that, is like if your circumstances right now are dire, are very stressed, or you're feeling hard pressed on every side, like you just can't catch a break, if you focus on the negative of that of your circumstances, I hate, like the truth of it is you're going to attract more difficult situations. Focusing on it magnifies it. And so you literally have to transcend it. And that doesn't mean you're just totally irresponsible, right? In the Results Kill Excuses app, part of the first 5, I haven't really talked about the first 5 curriculum, but it's there. One of them is I got 99 problems. And then the finish of that is but positive solutions for everyone, right? That's one of the courses. And the truth be told is that no matter what you're facing, you have everything you need to get through it. But the most important tool that you need is a clear mind. And in that mind, you need to have belief. You need to have some faith, right? You need to have some courage. You need to have some confidence. You even need to have some delulu. You need to be a little bit delusional. That doesn't mean you're lying to yourself, but you need to realize that the circumstances that are oppressing you right now are really there to put the pressure that you expand beyond it. And it's really hard. That's a challenging thing to do in the heat of that moment or of any moment. If you're new to this part of the awakening, right? I appreciate everyone that listens to this message greatly. Everyone that's been picking themselves to invest in the 1% Better Everyday Journal, right? It means a lot to me to know that my experience is paying it forward, right? I've been through some heavy battles, and I still go through some really tough battles, but I've just created an almost indestructible mind. Almost. It's almost. I can still get some weaknesses. There's still some times where it just, it can hit. It can really hit hard. But I have enough tools and enough experience and enough receipts, right, to tell myself. I think if you ever listen to any of David Goggins' things, he always talks about having the cookies. He has a little cookie jar, right? This little mental cookie jar of when he's faced with the next biggest challenge, he doesn't forget everything he's been through to get to where he's at. And my encouragement to you is the same. You can't forget what you've been through. You can't forget that you are a warrior. You're literally infinite. You're unstoppable. You are like the greatest of all creation, but we forget it. The ego. The ego is what closes us off from our divinity. So when you come into this density, this 3D heavy density, you forget all of your trueness, the true essence of your soul, right? That all gets wiped. And then you have to go through this whole birth to growth process that is filled with these incredibly challenging lessons and experiences that close us off. And that's sort of what I'm talking about here, closed off energy. You know, most people, you're closed off. Your heart is closed, your energy is closed, you're shut off. And what's really incredible that I'm experiencing is that the whole purpose is to reverse that, because you actually start this life, most of us. I didn't start this life open energetically because I was already feeling the stress hormones and the abuse in the womb. And so I was already feeling that tension, feeling that pressure cooker about to what I was about to get birthed into. But most make it through at least the pregnancy, and then you're born and you're open energy, you're open hearted, goo goo gaga, happy, and then everything that feels terrifying, everything that feels scary, every instance that, and it doesn't even have to be directed at you. If you're just around parents that are fighting or violence of any type, any kind of terror, energetically speaking, you're picking up on that. You're recording that from the earliest age. And as you record it, you don't stay neutral. You close off, which means you contract. And this is exactly what the vibrational energetic chart shows. It's showing contracted energy to expanded energy, because you are born into love, joy, peace, and light. But the density of this world, and especially because you get born into environments that are, the they've already, for the period of their life, they've gone through all their pain, and 100 times out of 100 times they probably haven't healed it. So they're still carrying, everyone's still carrying around all of this emotional trauma. But the mystery to healing emotional trauma, that I feel like I am absolutely being given clarity, specificity each and every day. As long as I just keep moving forward on my path, I'm being shown that to reverse the contracted, closed off energy, it's not hard. It's actually easy. It's easy to do it. You just have to get outside of your pain body. You have to get outside of the victimized mindset, which, your left mind is your carnal mind, your negative mind, right? It's the ego. The right mind is the higher self. So it's like, even where the brain is, the lobe, your brain lobes are split, the left side is all about the ego. That's where all that negative thinking comes from. And so even when I play the games with talking to my higher self, listening to my intuition, it always, the intuition, the higher self, comes from the right side, usually the back, but it'll move in through the right side. I can literally feel it, and that's where it comes from. And then when I'm talking to the negative, because I like to hear what that motherfucker has to say too, Tricky Ricky, it's right here on the left side, talking about all this fear and shit. That's great, man. it's great to have a lot of people starting to at least seek, right? Because what I believe, what I'm seeing happening is that anything that we've been running to in the Gregisms of motivational speaking is the escape routes, right? Anytime we're looking for an escape route outside of just processing our feelings, right? If you're feeling unloved, if you're feeling abandoned, if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling betrayed, if you're feeling shame, anything you're feeling that's negative, like all your body, right? All your body wants you to do is to just sit there and actually name it, right? Name that feeling, and then and just sit there in it and just feel it. That's all you got to do. Like, that's what I'm trying to say is this shit's not that hard. It's not hard. It's taken a long time for me to figure out this, but it's really not a hard process. But yet we've programmed ourselves to be like, we get so fucking uncomfortable with this shit. And yet that's a that's what's going on right here. 1% Better Everyday Journal. I mean, look at that emotional wheel. Those are all the emotions that you can feel. At the core here in the center, you have joy, love, fear, anger, bad, and then surprise. And then it just there's two different layers to those core emotions. And science has shown, I'm actually going to probably put this up. I probably am going to update the website with the 1% Better Everyday Journal that will actually have the lesson on emotions, because it's a good lesson. For those of you that have been doing the 1% Better Everyday Journal, the feedback I've been getting from several people is the real value in this isn't even just the daily stuff. It's the 7 hours worth of lessons that I've packed into it. Every time that you're going through here and you see one of these little videos, where is it? Right there. The video support. There's a lesson. So this particular one is all about how I define self-mastery. So I give a whole class on self-mastery. But I give a class on emotional intelligence, emotional literacy, and I'm probably going to post it. I'll probably post it up on the website. It'll be uploaded onto YouTube, but you'll go to the website to watch it. If you wanted to just watch that video to see what kind of quality is in this. But research has shown that if you can at least have the awareness, the wherewithal to be like, maybe you're just kind of going about your day and then something just hits you, right? Your mood shifts, like a total fucking, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling the whole point is having an awareness that something shifted in how you are feeling. And what we usually do is we create our own patterns of relief from the discomfort, because what happens is usually it's a thought. The trigger doesn't just happen in our body. We're going about driving. We're walking, we're laying down, we're watching something. And it's the craziest thing that these triggers, they get activated through all of your sensories. So whether it's your sight, it's your smell, it's your hearing. I mean, we get triggered by days of the week, by certain cars. I mean, if you had somebody in your past that hurt you and then you see their car, I mean, there's just a million things, man. There's so many different things that activate a shift in your mood. But when you become more and more aware, then you actually are seeing all of this play out. You're like, yep, just saw that car, or just saw that house or, whatever, you put together the dots. You're like, okay, just saw that, realized that my mood shifted. And then the minute that you can sit there and check in with yourself and be like, how am I feeling right now? What is this feeling that I'm experiencing? And again, having emotional literacy is just like any other kind of knowledge, right? And the emotional literacy is all right here. It's understanding how many emotions it is. It's not just happy, mad, angry, sad. It's way deeper than that. And you have to really fine tune it. It's just like any kind of a season, right? Like there's a difference between salt and seasoned salt, or garlic salt, or onion salt. Like if you did a little taste test, there's a difference. There's a difference if you're a soda person. There's a difference between Dr. Pepper, Coke, Pepsi. There's just, there's subtle differences. And our emotions are no different. So you're not just mad, you're not just angry. There's usually something way deeper. And so it's like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed right now. I'm overdrawn in my bank account. I don't get paid for 2 weeks and I got 5 more bills coming through. Like, I'm overwhelmed right now. And when you sit there in that, and instead of saying, okay, I'm overwhelmed right now, I need to go numb out. I need to go check the fuck out because I don't know how else to deal with this. I'm overwhelmed by my life. It's like, that's the coward. That's what that is. That's being a coward. When what I see in every single person that I connect with is a warrior. I see that in myself and I see it in you. Like, you do have the courage to face your problems, no matter how scary they may appear, right? That's fear, false evidence appearing real. Face everything and rise. On the other side of your fear is your victories. It's your dreams. It's building all of the desires of your heart. You just have to face your fear. And if your biggest fear is just sitting in the discomfort that wants to be given life in your body and not just continuously having you run away and try and escape it, when it's like you're not escaping anything. The minute that I used to run to alcohol and just get all fucked up because I'm feeling like my life is falling apart and I just feel like shit, then that never solved my problems. It only compounded them, made my problems even worse. And I always talk about, there was times where I would go and volunteer on disasters. And a lot of people would be praising me and, man, that's so wonderful. It's so incredible to see you out there helping people. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But in my heart of hearts, I know that there was a lot of times I did that. Yeah, because I really do have a heart to go help people. But I know that if I was truly honest with myself as an acid test, and this is another part of this, is you got to quit bullshitting yourself. I know that when I got honest with myself, I'm like, yeah, I love doing that, but I can't love doing that more than fucking taking care of my business, handling my life. Running from my problems to go help someone with theirs doesn't fix my fucking problems. And yeah, maybe it makes me feel good, but that's a fucking cowardice move, and it's deceptive. I was lying to myself and I was showing up with the wrong intentions. And we do this. This is wearing the fucking masks. It's wearing the masks, saying, look at me, right? Look at me. Look at what I'm doing. And yet we're avoiding our problems. We're avoiding handling our own business, being courageous and bold and brave to say, I'm going to take extreme ownership over my life. And that's what needs to happen for most people, is you just got to take some fucking real ownership of the mess that you have created. knowing that you have the courage to fucking turn it all around. It's the most incredible thing when you do this. It is the most incredible feeling. There are people here right now that have started drinking this Kool-Aid, and it's a short amount of time, man, when you really lock the fuck in and you feel supported. Again, this is a great starting point. 1% Better Everyday Journal. This is why I made this. I have a master class that's a 12-week program that no one's ready for. There's maybe a few people, but not most. So I had to go back and say, you know what? I need to help people create the habits of really figuring out what is a morning routine? What does it feel like to start every day with some positive affirmations, some positive thinking, some reflections on things you're doing right, things that you can improve on, really having an honest appraisal of your day-to-day life, keeping receipts, holding yourself accountable, having receipts. And you know how great that feels? And that's another fun thing, you know? It's like I was talking with someone, Adam here, that in his journal, he was going to get a stamp and start like keeping receipts because it's so valuable. I mean, I dug up one of my old journals the other day, and it's like, man, there's just pure gold when you actually have receipts. That fuck. You're over here having a pity party because something happened last week, yesterday, this morning. And it's like I just said, you know, David Goggins talks about his cookies. Like I'm going to make stickers for everyone that orders the journal that says, you know, it's receipts. It's a cool little design. And you can slap those in here because that shit matters. You can't forget what you have been through. And for you to chalk up your own personal wins, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it when you stop allowing yourself to be hoodwinked and distracted by things that you think are cool, things that you think matter that don't really matter. Does it really matter who wins a fight? Does it really matter who wins a football game? Unless it's like your actual family member, your child, your if it's one of your family members, that's a whole, we're not talking about that. We're talking about grown adults giving countless hours of their precious time to just passively give of your energy, right? You're giving your energy, which is really building up someone else's life, and you're being drained of yours. Like, you need to realize that this is an energetic thing. You are being drained of your energy when you sit there idly watching and sending your energy to someone else's success or even their failure. That's what's really going on. And I know we try and justify it as like somehow when it comes to pop culture, I'm the biggest fucking party pooper. And I used to be the biggest fucking party animal, the hostess with the mostest. I used to rail on party poopers, man. Fuck, I was terrible. I was a fucking dick when it came to party poopers. Anybody who wanted to turn the party out too early or not take another shot or not get more fucked up. You didn't want this guy around. Not this guy, but the drunk motherfucker. You didn't want that dude around. I guarantee it, man. I guarantee you. That guy broke many a people because of just that relentless spirit. And, you know, it's the interesting thing. Like, if you can see the energy, how relentless you are, how negative you are, how down you are, man, the polarity, it's the equal and opposite. So if you feel like you're so down on yourself, like you just can't catch a break, when you switch that polarity, you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable going after your dreams, building your dreams, doing the things that truly add life to you and make you feel like you have purpose and fulfillment in life, that you're now aligned with what you were put on this planet to actually do. And it's not about getting all, well, I don't really care about being famous or all this shit. It's not about that. It starts just right there with you being the best version of you crafting yourself. I had a friend of mine call me, or I called him the other day, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I just got done fucking with the hammer and chisel, chiseling out some more marble, right?" And that's a reference for me at the gym, just chiseling out fucking marble. Earlier tonight, when I'm just sitting there processing some negative feelings, sitting there using the wheel, looking at the wheel, saying, "All right, we're feeling worried, right? Agitated, exasperated." There's so many different emotions in here that people. It's just like expanding your vocabulary. Powerless, dismayed, disillusioned, feeling shameful, regretful. I'm feeling shocked. I'm feeling confused. I'm perplexed. I'm awestruck. And yet that's chiseling too. Every morning I wake up, as I see 1010 right now, and I start it with positive affirmations. And then I go and do some sun gazing, and I do some reflection, some journaling, and then I get into some breath work. That's chiseling out. That's putting in the work to make myself a better version of me. I don't do that stuff because I want to be world famous and I care about how many views I get, or I care about, I need all that external validation. I don't do any of this shit for external validation. I was talking to somebody today, like, in my heart of hearts, I struggle with this aspect of it. I would be fine being the best version of myself and living a very private life. I would be just fine with that. Me and nature. But here's the thing. Every time I try to default to that, somebody will comment. Somebody will say something out of the blue, unsolicited. "Hey man, I just saw this video. I don't think you realize the difference you're making. Keep going, keep doing it. Thank you so much." And I'm like, fuck. And it's like I've been really having to like deal with that part. And there's probably a part of you that's sitting there saying, there's a part of you that's kind of looking at what your potential is, knowing that there's something more inside of you. And there's a part of you that mourns the fact that if you take action, then there's no turning back. You can try and turn back, but you'll be course corrected. Like you'll continue to be inspired to keep going forward. And the thing about it is, I believe most of those of you that are listening right now, this is not your first rodeo, right? This is not the first time you've done this thing called life. And most of you that are listening right now, you've been through some pretty heavy duty cycles of life. And there's a part of you that is awakening at the soul level. And there's a part of you that understands the greatness to your purpose on this planet, but also the sacrifice that it requires, because you do have to. It's you know a good analogy is like, it's like enlisting in the military. It's like moving to a whole nother country or another part of your country that you're totally foreign to, and going all in on something that you have no idea how it's going to work out. But there's something inside of you that's telling you that you need to do it. But yet you have this free will and this resistance to it. And I don't know why we're programmed with that. It's a barrier to entry. That's all I can really explain it as. We all experience resistance. There's a really good book that's a fast read. I think it's called Do the Work. Do the Work. And it's all focused on resistance and how resistance is unbiased. Anytime that you have an idea to try something new, maybe you've been contemplating pulling the trigger on a 1% better everyday journal, right? And the minute you start thinking about it, but you don't just take quick action, decisive action, which should be more mindless action. When you take action, you're not thinking. You just say, all right, I'm gonna do it. Let me see what happens. The author of this is me. I'm the author. Oh, of the look it up. Look it up on I don't have my let me see. Do the Work. I'll look it up right now. But it's like you got to learn to take decisive action, cuz here's what's beautiful about that is you create something that's called the butterfly effect. You start to shift your reality. When you take an unexpected course of action where you haven't like overthought the shit out of it, right? You just shifted your whole entire reality, and reality needs to shift to that boldness and that bravery. But when you keep playing small, keep giving in to the negativity, the doubt, the fear, the complacency, the skepticism, the questioning, I don't know, this probably won't even fucking do nothing. This is all bullshit, like everything else. If you're that way, then you're going to just keep getting more things that are bullshit and more like everything else. The name Stephen Pressfield. Do the Work. It's only like an hour long book, but it's pretty good. It's a good listen. I mean, I love books, and the ones I listen to all the time because there's just so much to get from them. The resistance. I mean, I think it does qualify. It's a test. It is a test. I think it does qualify you, right? I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it here. The reason why I don't really talk about the first 5 courses is because I put them out there as free. You know how many people have actually like there's hundreds of people that have downloaded the app, but because it's free, there's no buy-in, there's no incentive to do it. And right away you get resistance because you realize that it's like, oh fuck, this is like really heavy duty shit. You're welcome. And that's where again, that's the resistance. And the sad thing is it's just an energy. It's just a pushback. It's like, right, when you make a decision, and it's sort of like ego based, because you say you get like you're sort of like negotiating. You're hearing about something. I mean, some of you, it was just like listening, like there's a book to listen to. And some of you are like, I'm not gonna make money off that book. But if 10 people buy that book, that, I don't care if I don't need to make money off the book. I would much rather be someone that's helping people. But again, you're somebody that's like, well, I don't really like to listen to books. I like to listen to my music. But again, look, there's your thing. You're listening to music. What does music do for you? Well, it makes me feel good. But does it change your life? Or do you just want to artificially feel good? Do you just need to keep being, falsely pumped up? Or can you be self-motivated? Wouldn't you rather like genuinely feel good about your life? Yeah, synchronicities are all around, right? There's no accident that you're here. That's why I'm saying, like, all of you that are here listening, everyone that actually can sit back and like really connect with this message, like, you need to realize how freaking powerful you are. You're literally sent here to do great things on this planet. And I know even that. Oh, I don't need to do great things. I'm just trying to pay my bill or just simplify your life. And it's like there's something that's called like a humiliation ritual, that because you are such a powerful being, an eternal soul, that you get put into this place on this planet that requires you to transcend the suffering, transcend the poverty, transcend the pressures of life, so that you can truly step into your true and authentic self. Because for most of your life you were told you're not good enough, you're one of us. We don't get to be that. You need to settle for this and settle for that, and just do your best, and no big deal, man. Just, get another beer out of the cooler, and, let's smoke a spliff or whatever the fuck. It's just like settling for life, just hemming and hawing and acting as if somehow we're all fucking bunch of helpless people that got no power and no authority, and none of that's true. And I'm willing to challenge you on that. If you were to take up the challenge of going all in and really becoming obsessed with seeing how far you can go, seeing how much greatness is in you, see what type of creative gifts are hidden just underneath the surface of who you are, as you start to heal and release your emotional trauma from the past. Because once you start to figure out your emotions, right? Once you start to master the emotional wheel, it's in here, it's online, you can get it for free. But this course will definitely give you a run for your money, because it's going to challenge you. Once you figure out the emotional wheel and you start to really connect with yourself and understand yourself, right? Then the next thing that's really good to do is the life review. Is to look for the patterns, the most significant events that you can recall in your life. And usually you don't do it in one sit down. Usually it takes sitting on it for however much time it needs, but at least having the willingness, another higher vibration, right? It's a willingness. Do you guys ever pick up on that part of the vibrational energetic chart, that willingness is on there? I don't think most people even catch that one. I even kind of run by it, but it's there for a reason. Everything is perfect. Once you get past the courage to overcome, right? Contracted is right here, right? This is where most people are. This is where most human beings are at right now. The lower half of this chart. Shame, you're carrying around shame, you're carrying around guilt, you're apathetic, you're filled with grief, fear, unmet desires, you're filled with anger, and even pride, right? It's all about pride right now. Low vibration. But then what it truly takes to start really making that shift into the upper is courage, right? It's the courage to be willing to let go of all this shit, right? Which it packed into all of these emotions are very painful stories of your life. So you're not just letting go of anger. No, you're letting go of the fucking things that happen to you that cause you to feel angry from time to time. You have to let go of the things that are causing you shame and guilt and apathy and grief and fear and loss and unfulfilled desires and pride. You have to let go of all the stories. That is your life review. You're not just letting go of a feeling, but you need to identify the feelings that you're having when you're having them. Because when you can find the patterns and you expand your emotional literacy, that's when I can help you focus in on the areas that need to be cleared. Where do you have blockages? Are they coming from your mother and her side of the family? Are they coming from your father's side of the family? Where are these blockages coming from? Are your blockages in your heart center, in your root chakra, in your sacral, in your solar plexus, in your throat, in your third eye, in your crown? Where are the blockages in your body? Because of the stories and the experiences that you have you feeling these types of feelings. So it takes courage. That's the courage piece. But once you get to there, then on the other side of that, you go to neutral. When you go to neutral, that means when you look at the story that used to trigger you to be really angry, I'm so fucking mad. Now once you've healed, you know that you've healed something is because when you can look at the story of your life, the situation that used to make you really angry, you're not just numbed out. You literally see it with compassion and understanding for its lesson, the lesson that it provides your soul to transcend, to get to this place, that needed to happen for you to heal. But then what comes up after that is the willingness. It's a willingness to stay locked in. It's a willingness to not settle. It's a willingness to keep doing the work day after day, even when you don't quite feel like things are changing. That your will, you're using you're invested in this. And you have to then what? Acceptance is meaning that you now can accept the truths that I'm talking about that apply to every soul on this planet. To accept that all of these things that used to hold you down, that you can actually let it go. You can let these things go. That you don't have to be stuck for the rest of your life. And you continue to progress. Reasoning is different than an excuse, right? Excuses is all bullshit. But when you have a reason, that means you understand, man, you got a reason to be here. You matter. And you're no longer defined by your past. You're refining yourself by it. You're allowing all of that trauma, all of that pain to be refined into gold, into your power, into your purpose. But yet, how many are truly ready for that type of a experience? It's just way easier to act as if you can just fuck off this whole life. And you can. You can just fuck off the whole life. That's pretty impressive. Linda. That's pretty impressive. 10-day fast. That's powerful. I'll be sending you positive energy for that. I'm inspired by that. That's some big time action from full moon to summer solstice. That's that's some powerful shit right there. I love hearing that. But the vibrational energetic chart is the tail of the tape. Shows you where you're at. But yet you're not you just your emotions. There's the stories tied to it. And so that's when you do the life review. When you do the life review worksheets, you then are able to find the patterns, which are the pain points, because you write down the things that make you feel really uncomfortable, your story. And then you go one layer deeper, which is to not just remember the thing that happened to you. You then need to face the person that did it to you. And you don't have to face them in the 3D. You have to face that person spiritually, energetically. And hopefully you'll have a willingness, high vibration, to let them be free, to forgive them. That's the release. When you choose to tap in to the law of forgiveness and you choose to release people from your wrath, from your anger, from your bitterness, from your hurt, from your judgment, when you let people go, grace, mercy, forgiveness, right? You're really letting yourself be free. Because when you hold on, you're closed off energy, right? When you're keeping secrets, when you haven't been honest with people, when you tell lies, when you hold anger and bitterness and hate towards people, there's no justification for it. There's no justification. And you see it. Like, I don't watch the news, but I just already understand what's going on. Because it's been a cycle. I can just see patterns. We're so easily manipulated, but there's people that are literally having mental breakdowns again because they feel like their voice and their anger and their outrage needs to be expressed and sent towards somebody. And the minute that you give of those energies, you lose, they win. Just an FYI. If you're somebody that feels you need to criticize people online, you're giving your power away. They win, you lose. But you don't think it that way. You think you're being virtuous. You think you're being that you need to speak your truth, and it's like that's not speaking your truth. Speaking your truth is actually transcending the problems of this world as if they're your problems. The problems of this world are not your problems, but the problems of your life are. I'm going to say that again. The problems of this world are not your problems. The problems of your life are. And so if you think that you need to go and protest or just even post shit online as if somehow you're making an impact, and you need to have your free speech and express yourself like that, that's not doing it. That's an interesting. Thanks for sharing that ideas in trucking. Thanks for sharing that. There's wisdom in that saying. It is, when you're fully, and that's the thing, I met someone today and I asked him, I was like, do you still I was like, are you living authentically or do you still wear masks to go places? And a lot of us do. I don't. I'm the same dude everywhere. Like if anybody was to shadow me, y'all would be surprised as fuck because I'm the same dude, man. I don't gotta be a different guy for fucking this group or that group. I'm the same motherfucker everywhere I go. And it's taken a lot to do that because I'm a recovering people pleaser. Well, why would I be a recovering people pleaser? Because I had abandonment wounds, right? I had some very deep abandonment wounds. And the way that you overcome abandonment from a low vibrational place is by sacrificing yourself, is by pretending to be something you're not in order to try and gain acceptance from other people. But what a bullshit way of doing that if you're trying to win friends and lovers and accolades based on a false idea of who you are. And so, you know, the path that I walk is a solar path. It's a path of light. It's an upward path. Like you can't be it's translucent. You can't be lying. You can't be deceptive, deceitful. And I used to be very much both of those things. But I've made commitments and covenants with myself and powers far beyond me to say, I'm done. I won't do that. I'm going to tell the truth. No matter what the consequences, no matter what comes up, right? Just being somebody that can be honest. You want to change your life, start telling the truth all the time. And there's a lot of people that, if you're anything like how I used to be, man, I felt so justified telling like little white lies. I used to say, like, it's not lying, it's just telling them what I think they need to hear versus just letting the truth be said. And whatever happens, happens. Right? That's a lot of deception. That's manipulative. That's trying to control situations out of fear. You can see it. I know that was based in fear versus in love. Love is going to speak the truth no matter what. And there's a lot of people that you're really stuck because you're carrying around some pretty fucking bad lying. You have been dishonest with people by not telling them lies. You just haven't been open with them to tell them the truth. And I do believe that message is leaving my soul and being put out there because someone right now needs to hear that you withholding the truth is what is blocking and causing it's the root of a lot of your suffering. You cannot expect to win in life when every time that you lie to somebody, or not even just bold-faced lie to them, you just withhold truth. Withholding truth is deception. It's lying. If someone flat out asks you, yes or no, did you do this? And then you just lie to them bold face, that's one way. But if someone doesn't know something that you've done that probably would violate your agreement with that person, whether written or unexpressed, but there's agreements with connections, and I'm primarily talking about relationships, right? But you're somebody that hasn't been honest and open as to who you truly are and how you have been behaving. That's a my heart goes out to you because I know there's a lot of people like that right now. because there's a lot of suffering because of that deception, because of the things that are hidden. But I'm a believer that the light is being shined. And I believe that I myself am a light, shining the light. And some people are open to it. Many of you here listening. And other people are like, man, fuck this guy. Because you don't want the light to be shined. You'd rather stay in the darkness, which is not evil. It's just the depths of what? Guilt and shame. Guilt and shame. That is the darkness. It's an area that you don't want to be seen. And you're acting as if carrying it to your grave is the best approach. If you're hearing my voice, it's not. And if you're someone that needs help, as I just saw 11111s popping up, if you're someone that needs help with what I'm talking about right now, I would be willing to, if you came to me with openness and honesty, to where you did want to figure out a way to confess something to someone, and you were willing to have the courage to reach out to me, Greg at resultskillexcuses.com, I would at least give you some guidance on this, because I've done this. Like, I've specifically done this multiple times where I've had to confess really hard things. And that took a lot of fucking courage. And what's funny is I was even practicing religion at during some of these times, and I remember going to the leaders and confessing to them, saying, hey, I'm feeling this, what I would call conviction, right? I'm feeling like this conviction that I need to do this, take this action, and be honest about this thing. And it was so sad that like these leaders were like, don't do that, don't do that. They like advocated for secrecy. It was so sad. But I could, I'm not someone that will, like, I test the spirits. I'm like, nah, that's not, I'm being told to do it. I'm not going to, like, but that's just fear, right? Even religious people can be fearful. We all carry around fear. But when we face the fear, there's something that says, I remember I did a teaching once, and it was about that saying. It's like, those that know the truth will set them free. And I remember looking at all these men. It was like a men's group. And I said, do you want to know the truth the truth that'll set us free? And they're like, huh? All perplexed. And I said, the truth is that none of us truly know who the fuck we are. We're all bullshitting ourselves. Because when we come in here, it's like, hey, brother, hey, how's it going? Hey, man, brother. It's just like a bunch of bullshit, man. Because, everyone's afraid to show the dark side, to show the shadow, the beast, right? And we just want to be seen in the brightest lights, right? We only want people to see us for the good, right? We just want to be seen for the good. And it's like, we don't really want to be seen for anything bad that we've done. We hide that. And there's so much shame around it, right? It's shame. We're ashamed of things that we've either done or things that have even happened to us. There's a lot of guilt and shame from both of those things. And this is truly what I'm here to try and help those of you that want to help yourselves do, is get right with yourself, right? Really start to get honest with yourself and realize that you have the power to heal. And as you do that, man, as you start to do that, little by little, 1% better every day, as I see 144. That means I'm probably talking to chosen people right now. Little by little, as you start to live in the truth, live in the light, really start to reflect deeply about what you've experienced, and then to start to find the courage to accept it and to release it through forgiveness. Man, you literally, like, it's like you start pulling back a slingshot, and it's like eventually that thing gets let go, and you blast off. You blast off in life because you've dropped all the weight that you're carrying around. Think about all the weight you're carrying around right now, and everything you're carrying around that you're so afraid of. It's like, if there was anywhere that you could, if there was anyone on this planet that you could share your deepest, darkest secrets with without fear of judgment, it would be me. That's probably the thing I'm the best at. It's holding people's darkest secrets. It's like it happens organically. I'll meet somebody, just total strangers, or and it just seems like if we hit the right vibe and just start talking about the things I like to talk about, like, I don't, for whatever reason, I just have that ability where people just want to tell me all the worst things. I mean, I have heard so many horrendous stories that people have survived, and I never think about it in judgment. I always see it with a lot of compassion. I have a lot of compassion for what people experience. But then I also have a lot of encouragement to know that the worst things that you have been through, to me, that tells me the greater the calling in your life. If you have experienced some incredibly challenging things in your life, that means that there's greatness on the other side. It's the law of equal and opposites. If you have been through the darkest, worst shit, holy fuck, you just imagine the worst things you've been through and sit in that. This is something I've been really helping people with lately, is for you to sit there and imagine the worst thing that you've been through. Or even if you're so worried, if there's something that you're so afraid of happening right now, you're so afraid of it. If you can sit there and mentally just allow for the worst thing that you could imagine happening, if you could give it permission to exist in your mind, in your body, this practice right here is, man, next level shit. If you can sit there with yourself right now and think of something that you're really afraid of, that it really weighs you down. And again, if you have that resistance, you have this resistance inside of you, you're so afraid of it, you're resisting it, but yet it's coming in, it's pressing harder and harder towards you. It's like you're like, it's inevitable because you keep putting energy towards it, and it's fear. So if you can the way you take your power back is you allow for it to exist. This is like a meditation practice where you sit there and you just say, okay, let's let the worst thing, whatever the worst fear that you have right now, just let it happen in your mind, not physically. Just you let it happen, and you just feel it. Like, fuck, man, like, I'm so scared. Oh, like, I mean, if it was like an example would be like if you're just somebody that would be so afraid to lose everything and then see yourself homeless. And for you to sit there and be like, man, if I lost everything and then I'm like literally homeless right now, how scared I would be right now to be homeless, on the streets, haven't had a shower, haven't had a warm bed. It's like just, and then you give that existence permission to exist. But then as soon as you're done filling the depths of of the fear, then you start to channel the positive. What is the greatest thing that you can imagine happening? Here's the shift. If you've listened to me kind of focus in on the negative, which most of you are already, you're just always beating yourself up with the negative. But you do it in such a way that you're afraid of the negative, but you keep calling in the negative. So if you could just sit there. Congrats, man. 3 years is a big deal. So if you could just sit there and feel the negative, feel the fear, and then literally say these words: I give this situation permission to exist. Meaning I'm not going to resist it anymore. If this needs to happen, let it fucking happen. And I'm going to sit there. And then what you do is you imagine the best outcome, like a miracle happening, everything turning around, like everything going your way, the breakthrough happening, you know, and you just hit a winning streak like never before, like miracle after miracle happening. And then you channel that. And then what you do is you hold the negative, the worst, and you hold the best. And you're like the scale in the middle. Where you want to be is neutral. That means you don't want to be afraid and you don't want to be too overly happy. You just want to be in the middle, and you want to allow both the worst and the best to exist. And then you stay locked into the present, because what you're doing is you're showing that your thoughts are trying to trip you up. Most of you are negatively aligned. So the negative scale feels a little heavier, and that's because you put more focus on, you have a lot of what I would call survival response, which is all trauma based. If you're someone that always, I used to be this guy. I remember talking to therapists for years, and I always had to tell them about the worst case scenario. I am always ready for the worst case scenario. Well, guess what the fuck was always happening? Because I was so always ready, pridefully always ready. I'm ready. I've already planned out the whole worst case scenario. If this happens and this, I'm ready for it. Guess what the fuck happened? The worst case scenario. But if you start to focus on the best, I was coaching somebody the other day. They're going through a real tough situation in a relationship. And we did this exercise. We sat there. And I'm really excited because, I'm going to probably start helping couples out with healing. And we sat there and we thought about, okay, what's the worst case scenario? And then what's the best? And then the homework assignment that I gave this guy was to write 2 letters, because he's really focused on the negative. And there's a saying that when emotions are high, when you're really negative, when you're really angry, when you're really frustrated, whatever you're feeling, when emotions are really high, intelligence is low. It's not a good place to make decisions. It's a good place to ask for help if you want to know the truth. But I asked him to write 2 letters. And I asked, the assignment was write these letters in the future, a year from now. And in a year from now, I want you to write the letters. The one letter is from you to this person, talking about how incredible the past year has been, that you couldn't be happier in this relationship. Everything is going so great. The growth that you've both experienced, the new life you have, the new home, the new town, like you write this letter in the future of just all of these great, incredible things that have started to happen. And then the second letter was him writing the letter from his partner to him, expressing the same thing. And it's like, I've done this many times for myself. for various situations. I don't think you guys understand the power of literally writing down things from a future perspective, of believing that everything works out even better than you could imagine, to allow yourself to really feel into that. Because most people I come across, y'all are just so hardwired into the negative, into the worst case scenario, always prepared. Worst case scenario, just when is the bottom? It's everything's going good now, but it's just a matter of time. I used to be that guy. It's just a matter of time till something's gonna go wrong. It always does, and then it does. And it literally, that's the law of attraction. You just validated your thoughts. So if it works in the negative, why wouldn't it work in the positive? But yet, writing those letters is step one. What's really more important is doing this other underlying work, clearing yourself from the chemicals, which both of these two are willing to, they've been doing that. And a lot of people I know, they're getting into the state of sobriety. They're starting to embrace the sobriety. Great. But then they're like, I'm still like, I still can't control myself. I experienced the same thing. That's why I ran to religion. It didn't work. And that's why I ran to hypnotherapy. It helped a little bit. That's why I ran to regular therapy. I tried everything. And what I have finally figured out is what is working. And it's working faster, especially for the deep-seated roots of subconscious programs from childhood trauma, is when you truly acknowledge and you do your life review, all the significant events, you start understanding how it's showing up in your life now. You look at the patterns, like connecting the dots, and we go in there and we start to clear. And how do you clear? We do forgiveness rituals and breath work. Breath work is one of the most potent of all the healing practices that I do every single day. Locked the fuck in. And guess what I'm going to be doing tomorrow with some beautiful souls? The Breath of Life Healing Circle. If you're hearing this message and you are looking for something that kind of encompasses all of this, connection with people that aren't going to judge you, where you can just really show up as yourself. You don't got to wear no masks. You'll probably be a little nervous just because that's how you are, right? We do some reflection. We connect through conversation, visualization, and then we breathe. And if there's any of you that are interested in signing up for that, you can go to resultskillexcuses.com and click on the Breath of Life Healing Circle tab, which is right here. In there, you're going to see some videos, some overviews, why those three combos work. Breath work opens the body, quiets the mind, the mental chatter. Visualization shifts your emotional state and imprints healing and images, plus just all these downloads, really connecting with the inner self. And journaling is, helps you to process, anchors, and integrates it all. We usually go for, it's more than 90 minutes, probably like 2 hours session. So it's been a very powerful thing. Here's our schedule for the month of June. We meet Sunday mornings at about 8:45. You can click here to reserve your spot. And I would love for you to join us. There's some videos here on the type of breathing we do, the pranayama, breath work. So there's a lot of resources here. All are welcome. You don't have to have previous experience with doing any kind of breath work. You just got to show up with a willingness. We talked about the willingness earlier, a willingness to try new things, a willingness to say, you know what I got to lose, man. Not to overthink it, to just, again, spring to action. Some of you are willing to spring into action. For that, I commend you. Others of you, it may never happen, right? You're waiting for something to happen. The thing what I know is that those that are called to listen to this message, Just be careful. Be ready, right? Because when the thing that you're waiting for to happen actually happens, you're going to be in a pretty rough spot. And when you're there, guess what? You should probably find your way back here. And maybe in that season, you'll start to take me up on some of these things. You'll get yourself a 1% better everyday journal, lock in for 91 days. You'll sign up for the Breath of Life Healing Circle and actually start to do some of the things that can help you to get yourself back on track, start to get some traction in life, heal some of the trauma that you're carrying around, if not all of it, ideally all of the trauma. Right? It's in the best interest for us to release and heal our trauma once and for all. Yeah, there's no accidents. This is all alignment. This frequency, my frequency's out there. The medicine is this strong medicine. I know. But I do know that those of you that are here, again, my soul and your soul have agreed to work together. Right? I'm doing my part by showing up. I'm doing my part by following through, by creating things. I got volume when it comes to the 1% Better Everyday Journal. It's a 91-day program, but guess what? There's 4 volumes. And volume 2 is going to be ready for launch this week. This is the volume 2. I've been editing it. I don't like to half-ass shit, so I've been really going through. Look, I'm putting in my own, doing the work myself, just like you guys, doing the work, knowing what this really is to deliver people volume 2. And, you know, I think it's probably one of the best, one of the best programs that exists out there. But it's definitely something that if you've ever thought about journaling or you don't like writing, if you don't like writing, this would be the thing for you, because it turns it back into like the worksheets from grade school that, I was that kid. I didn't like to write essays. I learned how to write essays, but I didn't like it. If I had a choice between an essay or one of those like cool vocabulary worksheets that had felt like it had all kinds of little games in it, perfect. That's what the 1% Better Everyday Journal has. The same as with the content that's on the app, the first 5, that's not an accident, because I know that the part that needs to heal inside of us, which I know I'm talking to adults, but the part of you that I'm trying to talk to is I'm trying to convince the adult version of you to go in on the rescue mission to save your inner child. Your inner child is actually the part of you that's wounded. And so the reason why the worksheets are the way they are is because it's really trying to create more awareness and allow for your inner child to be a participant in that work, to tap into that youthfulness inside of you that's very wounded, that we acted like, oh, I'm not a kid no more, man. What the fuck? And it's like, yeah, right. There's so much. I see so many grown adults acting very immature. Right? I used to do it just a few years ago. I can replay some movies of me having my version of having a tantrum as a grown motherfucking man that did not have the roots of masculinity there, because I was still carrying around a lot of wounding. And when I healed the wounding, the roots got deeper. I become more centered on myself, more grounded, more rooted, so that I can stay solid. There's no self-control in what I do. I'm not self-controlled. I am self-aware. Thus, I am a master of myself, not self-control. You will never win the self-control game. Every time I hear somebody say, you need more self-control, it's like, that's not going to do it. That only gets you so far. Most of us can do the self-control at work, but behind the closed doors with the intimate partners, oh no, you won't be able to keep it there. And that's where it hurts us the most, is when the real version of us comes out. The masks are down, the shadow version comes out, that darkness, that lovely part of ourselves that we keep hidden until just the right time. That's when the real version comes out. That's when the real Slim Shady stands up. I know all about it, man. But it is a game of release, Space Crumbs. It's about release. It's about acknowledgement, acceptance of yourself. I mean, you have to, it's like, it's doing, the way you heal is literally you got to do a book report on yourself. It's kind of what it reminds me of. It's like, the life review is like doing a book report. You got to go in and you got to I like to run it old school. You got to get like the encyclopedias and sit there and write down your notes and all the bad things that happened to you. And you just start wherever, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, you just start writing things down. It doesn't have to be perfect chronological order, right? You just start writing things down. And as you write one thing down, something else pops up, and then something else. And then maybe you sit on it for an hour, and then boom, something else pops up, and you write that down, and you write another thing down. And as you start, once you turn on the spigot, see, that's what's happened. Most of you have closed off energy because you're hiding. You're in survival mode. You don't want to be seen for all the fucking shit you've been through. You're trying to hide and keep that closet closed. You don't want all them skeletons coming out because you're way too insecure. You feel like anything that's happened to you, that everyone is going to reject you. No one will accept you if they know what you have truly been through or what you've truly done. And I'm just here to tell you, that's fear. That's fear trying to keep you down, keep you locked up when you are meant to be free, just like an eagle, soaring free. But it's fear that tries to keep you there. No one's ever going to love you if they know what you've really done. It's like, no, people will love you even more because you're true, because you're authentic. When you're bullshitting people, when you're hiding the truth, and they love you because of less information, they only know the highlights and not the lowlights. There's going to be some karma there. And then, sometimes karma shows up real time and you're wondering why you're frustrated. You're wondering why things don't seem to go your way. You can never catch a break. And it's like, well, let's get honest with ourselves, right? Let's really get honest with ourselves. Let's know what we can and cannot do. We can start to get honest with ourselves. We can ask for some help. We can invest in ourselves by putting in some of the work necessary, right? Not just sitting back trying to listen to things. It's like, I'm a teacher. I'm here to give homework. I'm here to have you do things, not just listen, right? Which is a whole nother programming that a lot of us need to undo. Is we're so used to just watching and observing that, like, the next wave of influencers that are going to truly step up onto the stage are people that are here to teach, not just to entertain. Yeah, I can help you, Devil Dog. I was a corpsman with the Marines. I was an FMF doc, so I know the drill, brother. I know the drill. And I have a lot of experience with veterans too. I ran a #1 Best for Vets Military Times Veteran Resource Center for a number of years, built it out. So it's not an accident you're here, but you know, the thing that got me going is I had to hit a rock bottom. It should have took me out. It didn't. But I remember I think I was at a vet center and I saw a keychain and it said, it takes a real warrior to ask for help. And I knew that I was in a pretty bad fucking spot. And I knew that I didn't have the answers. And I knew that I had to do something. And I knew that I was afraid to ask for help. And because I was afraid to ask for help, I faced that fear. And that's a true fucking warrior, man, is getting the fuck up when you've been knocked down. And especially, it does take that spirit. It takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of fucking cojones to say, you know what, man, I need some fucking help. And then to submit to that, to submit to it, to like actually follow through and stay locked the fuck in. Because hopefully the person you ask for help for is someone that's helpful, someone that is exemplifying the things that you desire, right? They always say, like, you don't want to get investment advice from a plumber that might be a little broke or something, you know what I mean? But you don't want plumbing advice from an electrician, right? So you try and go to somebody that seems to connect, to relate with you, resonates, and realize that I'm not just here for entertainment purposes as it's 11:11, right? There's a lot of resources here, whether it's the 1% Better Everyday Journal, which is like self-paced with 7 hours of coaching from me packed into there, self-paced. The Breath of Life Healing Circles, a live group that we meet up on Sundays. Or there's one-on-one coaching, which is, a bigger investment. But if you're someone that needs that level of accountability, I don't know about you, but when I hit my bottom and I was ready to truly make whatever changes necessary so that I could trust myself, um, I was willing to do everything, to try everything in order to get the result. And so I've stayed that course. And I believe because I stayed that course, because I could have settled a long time ago. And I've had people say, man, when's enough enough? Well, like, aren't you good, bro? Like, fuck, man, you seem like you're in a really good place. When is enough enough? And I'm grateful I've just stayed the course. And I believe because I've stayed the course, I think spiritually I continue to get promoted to higher places, to be even a greater voice of impact and service to humanity. Because I'm being entrusted, because I've been faithful to this process. So grateful for everybody that's been here tonight. If you haven't yet, you should absolutely get yourself a 1% Better Everyday Journal. Take me up on the Summer of Transformation. It's a 91-day challenge. If you order the journal this weekend, it'll ship Monday for sure, which means you'll get going here soon. If you're looking for something more quick, you could pull the trigger on getting signed up for the Breath of Life Healing Circle, which is right here. All right. It's a powerful group. And I'm grateful to have the people that have been showing up. There's coaching options in here, the shop. We've got all kinds of gear, merchandise. The print products are here. If you're interested in the 1% Better Everyday Journal, there's also the Self-Discovery First 5 Workbook. Is that showing right now? Yep. Which is associated with the 5 courses that are on the Results Kill Excuses app. All you got to do is type those 3 magic words into your app store and download the app. And you don't need the workbook. You can actually, if you have a printer, you can print out those worksheets. That shit is free. What's coming out next is going to be the volume 2. That'll probably launch Monday. It's going to be ready to rock and roll. I got the covers. And we'll be doing some promoting on that. So there's also coaching. I'm here for lots of different reasons, but we come with a lot of resources, not just talk. So I do appreciate those of you that tune in, those of you that truly get something from the message. It means the world to me that you're walking alongside me, right, on this journey called life, that you're truly putting in the work to become the best version of yourself. And there's plenty of success stories from people that have been drinking the Kool-Aid here at Results Kill Excuses and seeing the success in their own lives, seeing the breakthroughs, seeing the healing. But it truly takes surrendering, right? You got to quit trying to be in control of everything and trying to force everything and trying to speculate everything. You know, sometimes you just realize it's not an accident you're here. Were you just here to hear this, or are you here to take some action? You decide. I'll see you guys on the next one. I love you guys so much. I send you the best. Keep working on you. Start to believe in yourself. Uncover who you truly are. You're more than your wounds. You're more than your trauma. You're more than your past. You are greatness. You just need to do a little bit of cleaning to dust off all the things that are covering that greatness that's inside of you. And it's right here and it's right now. And you know the drill. Results kill excuses, because if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. Greg's out.